move on from identity politics. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore. You're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys.
Bill Maher is sounding the alarm, accusing the Democratic National Committee of drifting dangerously out of touch with everyday Americans. With the midterm elections approaching, and despite some recent Democratic victories, Maher says there's a deeper problem brewing. On Real Time with Bill Maher, he criticized party leaders for promoting policies that, in his view, ignore core American values. As always, hit subscribe now, because this story is just getting started.
Point, I want to get to something very important. How many know what SAM stands for? It's a new phrase. It stands for Speaking with American Men, SAM. This is the new movement by the Democratic Party. They lost the men vote a lot last time. So they had a meeting up at the Ritz-Carlton at Half Moon Bay, south of San Francisco. I'm not making this up, where they served mini lobster rolls and had heirloom tomato carpaccio and seared sea bass in their conclave to decide how to win back the American man. Now, look.
It's because we used to have conferences at Harvard to figure out what the working class needs, and so now we're moving west.
You got to own who you are. I get it. These are the mini lobster roll people.
Recent elections revealed a troubling shift for Democrats, especially among male voters. The party lost a noticeable share of support for men, and the reasons are becoming harder to dismiss. Many men feel they're increasingly portrayed as incompetent, disposable, or incapable of standing on their own. That perception has fueled resentment, frustration, and a growing sense of alienation. Instead of staying quiet, those frustrations showed up at the ballot box. In response, Democratic leaders launched outreach efforts aimed specifically at reconnecting with men. The real question is whether they truly understand what's driving the disconnect. Because elections aren't just about policy. They're about respect, identity, and recognition. And when that respect feels missing, voters notice, and they react.
They had this symposium, and we got a hold of what was, this is Speaking with American Men. This is a real thing that they're doing, and they have these seminars. Would you like to hear what was said? Okay. These are ways that they want to... Seminars that they had to try to win back the typical American male, like how to keep your liberal base while putting guns on your Christmas card. That was one that I wanted to. Best protein powder for a clean bulk, another dude conversation starter. Bud Light etiquette, when to drink it, when to shoot it. Fishing, the bizarre hobby working class men enjoy instead of pickleball.
Now, these talking points may sound strategic, but if Democrats believe they've found the formula to win men back, they could be misreading the moment. Most men aren't obsessing over gun aesthetics or debating the perfect protein shake. Their concerns are far more immediate. They're thinking about job security, rising costs, mortgage payments, and whether their families feel safe in their communities. They care about the dignity that comes from providing, protecting, and being respected in their roles. What many resent is being reduced to a stereotype, portrayed as clueless, toxic, or constantly in need of correction. That caricature doesn't match how most men see themselves. Hardworking, responsible, and try and do right by their families. They're not asking for applause. They're asking not to be mocked. They want their struggles and responsibilities acknowledged, and yes, their masculinity respected, without being told it's something to apologize for in today's public discourse.
The only scene that you're obsessed with in Titanic, hint, it has tits. Bruce Lee versus Bigfoot, mythical fight scenarios to man up your Joe Rogan appearance. Intersectionality and the importance of shutting the fuck up about it. And undouching your face, man beards from Ted Cruz to J.D. Vance.
You can see that unmistakable smirk on Maher's face, the kind that speaks volumes. It's not just humor. It's disbelief at how disconnected the DNC appears from the everyday realities many men face. This isn't about macho posturing or proving toughness. It's about stability. It's about purpose. It's about feeling valued in a society where many men believe their contributions are increasingly minimized. Maher seems to recognize that men aren't chasing stereotypes. They're chasing security, pride, and the chance to build meaningful lives. And right now, many feel unseen. If the Democratic National Committee hopes to rebuild trust, it can't rely on assumptions or symbolic gestures. It needs to recalibrate its message, address real concerns, and communicate in a way that feels authentic. Otherwise, that smirk may turn into something more serious, a warning sign ignored too late.
I do give a shit who wins the next election. And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really. California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids.
Democrats didn't just see slippage among male voters. They also lost ground with key racial groups, particularly within black and Latino communities. The shifts weren't dramatic enough to completely reshape the electoral map, but they were significant for what they signaled. Donald Trump and his allies were able to make measurable inroads in areas Democrats once considered dependable. That alone raised alarm bells. Some critics argue the movement reflects frustration with messaging that feels scripted or disconnected from daily realities. Voters aren't responding solely to identity-based appeals. They're reacting to economic pressures, safety concerns, and opportunities for advancement. When messaging feels symbolic rather than practical, it can lose impact. At its core, politics is about trust and results. Even small shifts can reveal deeper dissatisfaction building beneath the surface. Dissatisfaction that can grow into a larger political problem.
If you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba.
Maher argues that the DNC's reliance on racial pandering feels outdated in today's climate. In his view, voters are increasingly skeptical of messaging built primarily around identity, without delivering tangible results. The old political playbook, appealing to specific groups through carefully crafted promises and symbolic gestures, no longer guarantees loyalty. He points out that the electorate is evolving. Communities don't vote as monoliths the way strategists once assumed. Economic realities, cultural shifts, and personal priorities are reshaping how people decide. Voters are paying attention to outcomes, not just rhetoric. Traditional demographic assumptions are weakening. According to Maher, this signals a broader transformation in American politics. Loyalty must be earned continuously through clear policies, honest communication, and measurable results.
Says, as humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven-Symoné agrees. She told Oprah, "I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American." She says, "I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana." And you don't have to agree with that. But it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in race.
For years, identity politics helped the left mobilize voters and build strong coalitions. It created powerful narratives and a sense of belonging. But today, that strategy appears to be losing momentum. Many voters are questioning whether identity-focused messaging actually improves their daily lives. People increasingly want practical results, better job opportunities, safer neighborhoods, and long-term security. They're evaluating whether promises lead to real change or simply serve campaign messaging. Loyalty is no longer automatic. Politicians must prove their value through action, not assumptions. As expectations shift, traditional campaign strategies may not carry the same weight they once did.
The liberal group MoveOn.org, formed in 1998 to urge Republicans to move on from the Clinton impeachment. Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore.
Some argue identity politics may now be costing the DNC more votes than it gains. Many Americans are pushing back against being defined by a single label. Voters want to be seen as individuals shaped by their values and experiences, not reduced to categories. There's growing resistance to the idea that someone must vote a certain way simply because others who look like them traditionally have. For many, that expectation feels limiting. They want to evaluate policies on merit, not on narratives built solely around identity. They want to be persuaded, not presumed. As that mindset spreads, strategies rooted only in identity may struggle to maintain the influence they once held.
You're allowed to be many things all at once, and that's a good thing, even when it's really stupid. Look, we're all Jelly Roll now. We're sloppy, complicated, and contradictory. 2/3 of Republican voters support weed legalization. And 41% of Democrats own or live with someone who owns a gun. Miss Marvel is Pakistani, and the winner of the last two NBA dunk contests is white.
Maher points to these trends as evidence of how much America has evolved. The country is no longer defined by rigid paths tied to race or background. Opportunity feels more fluid. Roles and careers once considered out of reach are now open to anyone willing to pursue them. According to Maher, that transformation represents progress. It reflects a society moving closer to its founding ideals, where people are judged by ability, character, and ambition rather than assumptions about where they come from. He argues that this expanding sense of possibility is what America is meant to embody, a place where barriers fall and individuals define their own futures.
You're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys. The more you obsess over identity, the more you ignore the bread and butter issues that win and lose elections. The real issue is class, not race, and the real gap is the diploma divide, and the real future of the party.
The message isn't about party loyalty. It's about political reality. He believed the ground beneath the Democrats is shifting, and old strategies may not carry the same power they once did. Voters are changing. They're questioning assumptions that once went unchallenged. People want to feel heard, respected, and understood as individuals, not managed as predictable voting blocks. The frustration Maher highlights isn't just political, it's cultural. It reflects a demand for authenticity, honesty, and leadership that speaks to real-world concerns like economic stability, personal dignity, and national unity. His warning is simple: adapt to the new reality, or risk becoming irrelevant in a political landscape that no longer rewards complacency or outdated assumptions. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.